So what kind of thing likes virgins and gold? P Diddy?
Once upon a time in the glitzy kingdom of hip-hop, there was a bad boy who had it all. Diamond chains, private jets, a revolving door of A-list girlfriends, and a swagger so loud it practically needed its own zip code. Sean Diddy Combs danced through scandals like he choreographed them himself. But behind the shades and champagne, a ticking time bomb of secrets, lawsuits, and FBI files thicker than a Biggieverse. This video isn't just about the fall of a mogul, it's a full-blown empire meltdown with NDAs unraveling faster than his designer robes. The Diddy downfall didn't just start from his arrest and trial. The red flags were everywhere, blinking, flashing, screaming.
Right now, he's having 48 hours with Diddy, him and his...
His downfall wasn't sudden. It was a slow burn with a trail of smoke stretching back decades. So let's start with a breakdown of the timeline of everything that eventually led to the infamous trial. Cassie Ventura, the woman who stood by Diddy's side for over a decade, dropped a legal bombshell. Now, Diddy was already known for his red flags, but this was the start of something that would eventually go in history books. From this point on, everything changed. There was no going back. She accused him of rape, sex trafficking, and physical abuse. She also claimed he orchestrated the literal explosion of Kid Cudi's car, who she was dating at the time. Yes, the man had allegedly gone full Grand Theft Auto. Less than 24 hours later, the case was quickly settled. Fast money, fast silence. As Americans were carving turkeys, Thanksgiving week turned into lawsuit season. 2 more women came forward under New York's Adult Survivor Act, accusing Diddy of sexual assault and forced drugging in the early 1990s. Suddenly, those Playboy stories didn't sound so glamorous. Diddy stepped down as chairman of Revolt TV, a move that said, "I'm out," before anyone else could say, "You're fired." Next came a chilling allegation from a woman who claimed she was just 17 when Diddy and 2 other men raped her in 2003. According to her, she was flown to New York, drugged, and assaulted. At this point, the lawsuits were stacking like platinum records, except no one was celebrating. This was just the beginning of the allegations. A male music producer filed a lawsuit that pulled back the velvet curtain. He claimed Diddy sexually assaulted him, pushed him into sex acts with prostitutes, and introduced him to a world full of drugs and coercion. Basically a lifestyle straight out of a horrific version of The Wolf of Wall Street. This wasn't just about money and power anymore, it was about something much darker than anyone imagined. And it kept getting darker and darker with each new information. Homeland Security raided Diddy's home in Los Angeles and Miami in connection to a federal sex trafficking investigation. Feds seized hard drives, devices, and maybe a few fur coats for evidence. The mogul lifestyle was starting to look more like a crime scene, and Diddy's empire just got its first real crack. Crystal McKinney, a former model who filed a lawsuit against Harvey Weinstein, alleging that he lured her and a friend to his hotel room under the pretense of discussing film opportunities, only to sexually assault them. She also filed a lawsuit against Diddy in May of 2024, accusing him of drugging her and sexually assaulting her in 2003. The two, once upon a time icons in the industry, were both hiding dark truths under the blanket, and have a similar history of sexual assaults, grooming, and threatening with power and money. But it's a good thing their kingdom came crashing down, and it's only the beginning of a much bigger story. CNN dropped the bombshell footage. They released hotel surveillance footage from 2016. It showed Diddy brutally attacking Cassie in a hallway, dragging, throwing, and kicking her like a rag doll. The public reaction was nuclear. Diddy responded with an awkward and late apology, but by then, the damage wasn't just done. It was documented, and the aftermath was messy. New York Mayor Eric Adams snatched back Diddy's symbolic key to the city. Howard University followed suit by revoking his honorary degree. In the world of legacy and reputation, that was the equivalent of being ghosted by your hometown and alma mater in the same week. There were red flags, a whole damn parade of them. But when you're rich, famous, and shielded by money and silence, you can waltz past consequences for a while, until the music stops and the spotlight turns cold. By fall of 2024, the whispers had turned into a federal megaphone. The man who once called himself Brother Love was now being called something else entirely: defendant. The grand jury decided they'd heard enough, and Sean Diddy Combs was finally arrested in Manhattan, and thus it begins. The charges? Just a light mix of racketeering, conspiracy, sex trafficking, and transporting individuals for prostitution. The judge took one look at the stack of allegations and denied bail, citing concerns about witness tampering. Translation: too powerful, too slippery, and way too familiar with private jets. The indictment was unsealed and read like a rejected HBO crime drama script. According to prosecutors, Combs was the mastermind behind a full-blown criminal enterprise, one that allegedly trafficked humans, ran drugs, started fires, paid bribes, and silenced people with a mix of money and muscle. Diddy pleaded not guilty to everything, but the courtroom air was already thick with disbelief. And that was what most of the trial looked like due to the horrifying details that followed. In a wild episode on Joe Rogan's podcast, MMA superstar Israel Adesanya didn't hold back. He laid out how Diddy and Epstein weren't just past acquaintances at some Hollywood barbecue. These guys were in the cahoots, tight as can be. Epstein's infamous private Miami estate wasn't just for yacht parties, it was reportedly a playground for the rich and powerful to do some seriously shady stuff. And Diddy? According to Adesanya, he was part of this shadowy circle. Adesanya didn't stop there. He hinted Diddy's so-called white parties weren't your average fancy shindigs. They allegedly involved guests getting drugged and secretly filmed, with drinks possibly spiked with everything from ketamine to horse tranquilizer. It sounds like a bad episode of Black Mirror, but nope, allegedly real life. Adesanya even shared a personal brush with Diddy. The rapper slid into his DMs asking to meet up like his other targets, and Adesanya gave his manager's number but thankfully dodged that bullet when Diddy didn't reply back, or else he would have ended up as one of the victims. And then there's the weird, eyebrow-raising detail everyone's talking about. Stacks of baby oil bottles found at Diddy's mansion. Yeah, baby oil. The same kind of creepy little clues that make you squint and say, what's really going on here? It's exactly the kind of thing you'd expect if you were trying to run a sinister operation under the radar. Joe Rogan chimed in with some conspiracy flavor, reminding us how Epstein's list of elite associates was supposed to drop, but never really did until now. He pointed out that while Epstein's case fizzled with a lot of unanswered questions, Diddy might be the one to spill the tea to save himself. Adesanya said it straight. This isn't just coincidence. Hollywood's golden glimmer masks a rotten core, and these connections between Diddy and Epstein are more than just whispers in the dark, which obviously did come to light during the trial and left everyone shook and speechless. And the infamous trial begins. The federal trial kicked off in Manhattan with reporters camped outside like it was a red carpet event, except this time no one wanted his autograph. They wanted answers. The charges included sex trafficking, racketeering, and more, with a witness list that felt like something out of a legal thriller. Cassie Ventura's testimony. She took the stand for 4 days, and let's just say that she did not hold back. She detailed a decade of alleged abuse that included everything from violent outbursts to sexual and physical abuse to being forced into sex acts with others. It wasn't just emotional manipulation, it was psychological warfare, and each testimony was worse than the last one. The former assistant testified under the pseudonym Mia that Combs raped her in 2009 and subjected her to ongoing abuse for nearly 8 years. The defense tried to rattle her by pulling up old social media posts showing her smiling with Combs. She explained them away as pure survival, because in that world, pretending everything's fine was part of the job description. She claimed she was controlled, including being prevented from leaving his property without permission. This nightmare was only scratching the surface. Kid Cudi. Yes, that Kid Cudi. He testified that Combs ordered the firebombing of his car because of his relationship with Cassie. That's not jealousy, that's arson with a side of insanity. He also testified about a 2011 incident where Combs allegedly broke into his home, highlighting a pattern of intimidation and violence, which was consistently brought up in his trial. The courtroom practically tilted on its axis when Capricorn Clark, Diddy's former assistant and brand director, took the stands with receipts. She dropped a bombshell testifying that she had witnessed Diddy physically assault Cassie and threatened to kill Kid Cudi. In the moment, that sounded like it came straight out of a mob movie. But, plot twist, she also revealed that she herself had been kidnapped by Combs. Yes, kidnapped. As in, held against her will by her boss. Clark described a world where fear was currency, and Combs ran the show like a twisted ringmaster, pulling strings with threats, violence, and pure psychological terror. Deontay Nash, Diddy's former stylist, stepped up and turned the courtroom into a horror runway. Nash testified about witnessing Combs' outbursts, specifically targeting Cassie. He painted a chilling picture of a house so tense it could snap, where he and Cassie would literally hide to avoid Diddy's rage fits. Imagine being a celebrity stylist 1 minute and ducking for cover the next. Nash's account added another layer of horror to the growing pile of testimonies, confirming that behind the glamour was a whole lot of trauma, and no, not the kind you can fix with retail therapy. The former employees painted a chilling picture, a workplace ruled by fear. Some admitted they stayed silent out of pure self-preservation. One called it a velvet prison, luxury on the outside, nightmare within. Prosecutors brought the receipts, literally. They presented drugs, firearms, and surveillance footage recovered from the March 2024 raids. Oh, and a suspiciously large stash of baby oil. Yes, baby oil, gallons of it, in industrial quantities. Because apparently, when you're allegedly running a sex trafficking operation out of your mansion, you stock up like you're opening a very creepy spa. When questioned, Combs' attorney quipped, he has a big house, he buys in bulk, attempting to downplay the significance. The courtroom, however, wasn't buying it. There were also hard drives and recording equipment, because apparently documenting crimes was part of the lifestyle. As of early June 2025, the trial is still roaring ahead, with prosecutors expected to wrap up their case soon. The courtroom remains tense, packed with press, legal heavyweights, and spectators waiting to see if one of hip-hop's biggest moguls ends up behind bars for life. The verdict is expected by July 4th. Fireworks, one way or another.
Oh, behave.
Rumors started flying that Mike Myers, yes, that Mike Myers, was somehow linked to the CIA.
He reportedly toured the CIA headquarters in 2009, dined with agents,
and expressed personal thanks for their services.
Mike Myers is one of Diddy's former personal assistants. Now, there's no hard proof of any actual government ties, but the internet did what it does best.
Racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, transportation to engage in prostitution, drug offenses, kidnapping, arson, bribery, obstruction of justice. If convicted on all counts, Combs faces lifetime imprisonment. That's not just a fall from grace, it's a free fall into federal history.
And so the curtain falls on the once untouchable empire of Sean Brother Love Combs, or should we say, Sean Baby Oil Combs.
From diamond chains to federal chains, Diddy's glamorous world of champagne toasts and private jets has crashed into a courtroom drama darker than a blackout at a nightclub. The trial courtroom turned into a battlefield of allegations, with shocking testimonies exposing a web of secrets so tangled, even a hip-hop mixtape couldn't untangle it. Baby oil stashes, secret recordings, firebombed cars. This literally feels like a movie. And while the man who once gave us club anthems now faces a potential lifetime behind bars, the public watches with popcorn in hand, wondering if justice will be served to all the innocent lives Diddy ruined. The music industry is truly rife with controversy. And you wanna know who else is under scrutiny? Kanye West. His downfall was nothing short of inevitable, and maybe even necessary.
Check out our previous video for a complete breakdown on his descent to madness.